Hello. I'm a smidgy late because my phone was about to die. I had to run around and find a charger. So here we are for our daily 444 Love Bite, and this is Love Bite number 4. So that's got to be auspicious, doesn't it? 444 with Love Bite number 4. So this is all for Queen School pre-trainings. It's so lovely to see people popping back on that I know I've seen in every live. That is a dedication to change. So I celebrate you. So as you know, I'm having a staycation with my family at the moment. We're in Melbourne City, so we're in a hotel. So I have wine again. It's now become 4:44, wine o'clock for me. So let's do this. Pre-training number 4 for Queen School, which begins on January 14th. It is 12 weeks dedicated to love, the art of loving, how you love, and how you receive love. Because often it's not that love's not present, it's that we ourselves have not been conditioned, nor do we have a blueprint for receiving it. And if we can't receive it, we're going to find all the ways to block it and then say it doesn't exist. I am feeling like a wine now. I know. I think it's literally become wine o'clock. I think every day from the hotel I'll be joining you with a wine. It's really fun. And my husband takes the kids to the pool. This sounds like a win. I'm enjoying this. We went for a huge historical walk around Melbourne today. It was delightful. I so highly recommend it. Oh, now I want a red wine. Virtual cheers to you anyways, Jules. Oh, thanks, Jess. We had such a good time, honestly. We're just exploring Melbourne. So we are Melbourneites, but because we've been in COVID lockdown, we haven't gone anywhere in this last year, and we'd actually planned a trip. We were going to RV around the Northern Territory in 2020, but of course, COVID didn't happen. So we decided we'd just stay 4 nights in the city and do the hotel thing. My kids were like a real hotel? Because they've never been to one. I thought, oh, yeah. And we'll get room service and we'll stay up late. And so I've booked like all of these experiences. So today we had a private historical tour with a historian around Melbourne, and it was just so fantastic. If you do nothing else, I highly recommend it. We had Courtney, who's a lovely gentleman from Walking Tours Melbourne, and it was just fabulous. It was so good. He had such a passion. He's done like some sort of double degree in history and has so much passion for this city. And we learned so many things we didn't know about our own history. So it was absolutely delightful. Please do it. It was magic. It's my favorite thing so far. But let's get on to today. So today is one of my favorite topics. Favorite topics because when this landed for me, it was groundbreaking. You've booked a week at the end of the year to come down? Oh my God, and you better let me know. And we better be booking in a drink. The street art looks amazing. Oh my gosh, seriously. And I actually thought I had seen the majority of Melbourne's secret bars and secret art, and I hadn't. There were about 3 laneways that I didn't even know. And the most incredible, I'm going to go on about it now, most incredible art on buildings, like when you just look up in Melbourne, extraordinary, with extraordinary history, just absolutely magic. It was so good. I know, those painted walls. Oh, you saw the photos? I just popped some up. It was just the best. Honestly, it was just the best. So, complicit though. Complicit really just means, how have I created, or how am I part of the creation of what I'm now experiencing? So when I realized that part of how I was showing up was creating a setup and a situation that I said I hated and was all about him, the moment I realized that I could change my setup and then the experience didn't need to happen, so a bit of cause and effect in the laws of polarity, I went, oh my God, So it's a bit destabilizing when you realize that. So I'm just going to say this up front. It's a little bit destabilizing when the way you think the world is and the way that you perceive reality to be starts to look a bit like, whoa, I'm not sure that that's exactly how reality is. It becomes a little bit destabilizing. So just know that that's an outcome and know that that's okay. It's not about going back and berating yourself for all of the things you've created, not done properly, could have done better. Or no, it's about really going, oh, I can see the perfection of each one of those moments. And if there's real pain there, that there's a process that you can go through to do that in space and time. And that you go, now I see it, I can't unsee it. So it's coming with me, and I'm going to make that part of the art that creates a better lover for me. And I think that's when it gets spectacular. So the way that I will sum this up is, men stay dumb when women keep them dumb. You are either, if you've read my book, keeping your partner clued in or clueless. And there is no other way. Either they're clued in which case you're manifesting the reality that you desire, or they're actually pretty clueless and you've done a whole lot of assuming. And I'm going to give you another Ted Lasso quote. Do you remember the movie Medicine from yesterday? My husband and I, because assumptions have been a really big thing that I've had to work on. I think particularly as women, we tend to go like this. And my husband's still back at, I just said I didn't want to wear thongs. And I've gone on a trip, which means we'll never, ever share a champagne, and he never wants to travel to Paris. And he's like, what? I just said I don't want to wear the thongs. So because we go like this with our brains, and we do 1,000 meaning-making projections of values, forward-casting assumption, we clue them out. They're clueless. They have no idea, literally. Are you the mother of a son? Have you noticed this? This for me has been also one of the most delightful things to watch as a mother of a son. When I'm looking at him going, because I never grew up with a brother. You, like, really? Like a carrot is a carrot. Not like me who's sitting here reading between the lines and looking for all of the things that... He's like, my husband's always like, what I say is what I mean. There's no reading between the lines required. Like, that doesn't happen. And it was like mind-blowing for me. Because I was constantly like, it means this, and you know... And well, he should know that, and he should already know that, and I've already given him all of the clues, which was so subtle. And also, he was completely unaware that that was a language. So still clueless, even though I think he's clued in, and so should know better, should do better. And now I'm disappointed, and he's disappointing, and so I'm closed and angry. But I'm complicit in the setup of my own anger. Right? So we either keep our partners clued into our experience. If you remember that core masculine beings want nothing more than to be of service, to provide, and to have that provision received, the feminine, felt inwardly, and expanded into some sort of feeling sensation is like, it's the shiz, right? It's the pinnacle and the epiphany of a masculine experience. They're like, oh, look at me. Look what I can provide. Look what I just did. So we keep our men in the dark, or our partners, just masculine beings, in the dark, and then we get angry at them. Or we keep them in the dark because we're too scared to rock the boat. We're too scared of what happens when we change the rules. Or what happens if I really do say this. Or this thing that I want to change brings up so much irritation in my body that I can't even spell it out to you. Like, that's how triggering it is for me. Ted Lasso quote. That's what I was going to get to, and then I'll come back to that one. So my husband and I absolutely roared with laughter because assumptions have been one of the biggest relationship changes that he and I went through. When I stopped assuming and I started cluing him in, I could actually see how crazy my brain had gotten, how I'd been programmed to read the world and men, and how I decided for him how he was feeling, who he was, what he was expecting, what he was thinking, what it all meant, and what he thought about me. I decided all of that for him. And the moment that I decided to big girl pants on and just go, okay, so when you just said this thing, this is what just happened in here, inside of here, in my mind, in my brain, in my body. And he's always like, what? How did you get there? And I was like, wow, really? And he's like, yeah, I really just meant this thing. So assumptions, assuming. So in Ted Lasso, fantastic quote, there's an ass before you and me if you assume. Is that not the best quote you've ever heard? There's an ass before you and me when you assume. You keep him clueless, or you keep him clued in. What are you complicit in creating? Keeping him clueless? Are you shutting down? Are you holding back? For all the reasons? In which case you're keeping him clueless and then getting angry at the fact that he's clueless? Or are you opening up and cluing him in on what is happening here and allowing him the opportunity to meet that? It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to be fulfilled and for him to rise to meet that. And that is a win-win. There's no win-lose. I find myself saying this to even my son and my daughter. My daughter is gorgeous, bless her cotton socks, but gee whiz, they come programmed with our repressions, don't they? What we repress, they express. And I can see that my eldest daughter, who's 13, has a long way to go with balancing her masculine and her feminine. And I understand that. So when she shuts down and she closes up and she gets all that, like this, and I'm saying to her, unless you open up and you actually let him see, hear, and feel what is going on for you, nothing's changing. Because he literally doesn't know, literally doesn't know. Not even pretending, not really trying to know, genuinely remove any assumption. Remove the us between you and me. He really doesn't know. Unless you have explicitly spelled it out to him in a non-judgy, non-parenting, non-mothering, genuinely. Okay, here's my playbook. And when I'm like this, I know that it happens like this, but really what I want is this, and I'm working on opening up into what I really want rather than my protective mechanisms that come in on guard, and then you've got no idea and no ability to meet me. I worked this part out the greatest actually in working in birth with couples. So I was a birth doula for 7 or 8 years. And I think I learned most of my life lessons through working with couples in possibly one of life's most intense setups. And I just lost my train of thought then. This happens when my brain goes faster than my mouth. What was I going to say about that? Oh, cluing him in. So often part of the setup for partners coming into the birth space was that I would ask them to talk about the times when the woman giving birth, experiences the most amount of pain, psychological, spiritual, emotional, physical pain. What are her MOs? And do you know who knows that better than anyone else? The partner, not you. You think you're doing something, but they'll really see you because you can never see yourself. It's like wood for the trees. So even being willing to have a non-attachment, non-meaning attached conversation doesn't mean anything about you, just like, this is like an experiment. So when this happens, what do you witness me doing? What is happening on the other side of me? What is the message that you're getting? What does it feel like, look like, taste like, seem like to you? Get curious and you won't get annoyed. You can pick. I'm pissed off, close down, going to reject and repulse you, or I could get really fascinated and interested and curious. And when you ignite curiosity, you ignite spark, novelty. Something's different here, and the brain goes into novel drive, and all of those hormones start to flood your body. Wow, I see that. So what am I going to work on here? Because I want to change that. And then you kind of are able to work it out from there. Okay, so this is what you're going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And when we fuck it up, we're going to be really, because you will. Because our brain loves to lay track and follow a track. And whenever you're pattern interrupting, it's clunky before it becomes an entirely smooth new track that you take. It's clunky. So when it doesn't go exactly right and it goes a little left or a little right, you've got to be able to have a context around that either you're holding or they're holding, and you've opened that up. This is probably going to happen. What are we both going to do in these moments? How are we going to not assume and put an ass between you and me, but instead come together? How are we going to stay on the same team here? What does that look like? So I think that's beautiful. Yeah, Sammy, birth teaches you a lot, hey? A lot. Hang on, I'm catching up on your comments. Oh, you watched 5 episodes of Ted Lasso last night. Did you love it? Here's Great Street out in Melbourne. There he is, yeah. Wow, that's a powerful statement. I wonder which one that was, Amy. Nicole, I'm realizing more and more how responsible or powerful it is. We are in relationships, yeah. It's seriously a training ground as a human transformation machine. Wouldn't it be interesting if we saw relationships as that we saw the function in the dysfunction rather than there's something wrong? I wonder what would happen if we had a framework for that. Makes an ass out of you and me. It's a good one, hey? Is that your dad's favourite saying? Magic. How good's that? Exciting and painful. Not want to speak to you. Adam always says it's black and white. Tells me I'm always cryptic. I know I need to simplify at this stage. Yeah, right? Because you keep them clued in or you keep them clueless. And they have no idea what's going on. I told the girls in Queen's School, I think it was last round, a fantastic story, and I still sit there and chuckle to myself. I actually think parenting, there's probably not much you can't learn about intimacy in parenting. Anyway, so I'm sitting at the dinner table. We always have family dinners together. And I just cooked a really basic dinner, and the carrots, though, were in season and spectacularly sweet and delicious. I just steamed them, but So we're chatting away, and I had my masculine on because I tend to go through dinner what's going on for you? What's going on for you? What's going on for you? And so I'm having this conversation with my son. My son and I are at opposite ends of the table, and I realize I'm going, and I'm talking at him. And at some point he just zones out and he gets really focused on his food. And I watch him just zone me out. And I'm like this, and I could see my eldest daughter. I was watching her because she was sort of in the middle of the table between us, and I could see her look at me I saw that too. And I could see her starting to read my energy because I'd sort of bubbled with anger. And then I took a breath and had a look at the setup of this particular moment. And I thought, oh, I get what's happened here. He's very masculine. And I've gone in with my full force. I'm totally mental state, masculine, projecting at him, talking at him. I'm like, you know, on a bit of a mission here, trying to get an outcome. And he just wants energy. So he can't get energy from me at this moment. Where does he get some energy? Sensation, sensory. Taste, touch, smell, colour, sight, sound, all of the feminine qualities, right? It's the goddess embodied. Food. And so he's tuned me out and he's gone straight to his plate. And I'm still sitting there going, breathing through, thinking I can see my daughter, like, you know, doing one of these. She's looking to him and looking to me and looking to him and looking to me and thinking, what is going to happen here? Because, you know, the energy, you know, it gets a bit electric, and I'm like dealing with my own thing that I know I grew up with the masculine, which is like, you know, that thing. And I'm going, I see that. And I see this the way that I now know and see the world. And I'm giving myself just a silent minute to work all of that trigger through my body before I say anything. And while I'm doing that, and my daughter's like, what's going to happen next? You know, it's almost like a shoot down, you know, in an old Western. My son picks up these carrots and he's like, oh my God, these carrots are so good. And my daughter and I, at that point, just cracked up laughing. We laughed so hard. And because we burst out laughing, it completely diffused my anger. And he like looked up at both of us like shocked, like out of his, you know, little mind situation with these carrots. And he was like, what? Like this. And we're then laughing at him at the fact that he's so fucking clueless. Bless his cotton socks. He had no idea that I'd done that whole mental trip. Not one. It's nobody's fault. That's just a setup. So the minute I become more energy and more interesting than the energy he's currently has available to him or is receiving the carrots, right? Laughter energy, like this with my daughter and I. And we have a couple of feminine energy rises with more feminine energy. So two women together doing this. And he's like, bang, looking like focused, present, right? Energy equals presence. No energy consciousness equals looking for energy somewhere else. Ooh, carrots. Does that make sense? I still replay that memory and giggle. And still, oh my God, so many times. I mean, sometimes it like breaks my heart. I'm like, oh God, you're like so clueless. It's a bit sad. But I actually think that's kind of the masculine in general. The more masculine a being, the less they're tuned into those subtleties. And yet, because that's how we see the world, we're so sure that's how everyone sees it, and they don't. They don't. So, let's have a look here. Nicole, since meeting you and learning all this, I have so much more compassion for men. Yeah, me too. Me too. It seems ridiculous, doesn't it, in a world that's set up for the patriarchy, that we should in some way be compassionate for men. But I really, really think, I don't know that we're teaching men a beautiful masculine way of belonging, because we're also not loving that. In the feminine rising, I wonder how much we're masculine squashing, and I don't think that's good for anyone. Men are hurting too. I see them every week in consults and couple sessions and all the things. They're hurting too. And they've most of the time got no idea what's going on or how they're supposed to be, because it's never been modeled to them and they don't know. Same as for my son. So if I can decode that and break it down, they become exceptional lovers because they've learned something they've never known before. Not in history, not in their own growth, not in their own family. And we don't go to school for relationships, so where are you supposed to learn it? Until we come together and then we get pissy at each other for our own inadequacies that are really just a result of acculturation. So we have to be willing to be self-responsible and self-compassionate and offer that to the other in such a way that we can radically transform the way in which we love and are loved. Because when you love better, rather than I, me, I want, I need. Someone has to break that cycle. I want, I need means I want, I need, I want, I need, I want, I need. And no one's going, what do you need? Someone has to break that cycle. All right. Carly Tedler so rocks. I quote him on the Be a Goldfish regularly. That our partners are as dumb as we make them. Yeah. Livy, something seems amiss in how we view men in this society. Hearing you and Bridget talk on this was like, yay, someone is saying it. Oh, that's so good. I'm so glad. I think being the mother of a son really changed that for me, so I wonder if perhaps that's for you as well. Because all of a sudden men weren't this like enemy or thing, or patriarchy as an establishment outside of me. All of a sudden they were part of me and someone I loved so deeply. I couldn't think, feel, say, believe the things I had for my whole life and then look at my child and know that to be true. I couldn't see that anymore. Hi, Tina. You're live. That's so cool. Thanks for being here. All right. So, questions. I have a few questions for you to ask yourself when your partner doesn't know what you want or isn't delivering it well. How complicit are you in the setup? These are your questions to ask yourself. Where am I holding back? Holding back my truth? Holding back the truth? Holding back what's going on in here? Am I in total alignment and authenticity, or is there part of me that's holding back from my own wounding because I'm so used to being the peacekeeper and meeting everyone else's needs, suppressing and managing my own in response to that? Because I don't want to rock the boat because I'm scared of what happens if I do. Where am I holding back? Because it's just fear. How can you look at that fear? Do you know yesterday after the live when I went down to the pool, I don't do cold very well. The pool was cold. I felt like it was cold. And I'm like, I don't think I can do it, you know. And I'm in the pool and I'm up to my belly button. And Lola, my third, comes on. She goes, oh, come on, Mum. You've got to face your biggest fear. Your biggest fear is the cold. And I went, boom. Livy, I don't want to make my son wrong before he even starts in life. Amen. Because Oscar taught me so much. Special needs made me listen more closely. Yeah. Kids with special needs are an intense journey, but gee, they make you see the world differently, don't they? So, where am I holding back? Second question. Where have I withheld my truth, suppressed my hurt or feeling, instead of felt it and let him feel it? Because remember, you are a being of amplification. A string is plucked, you feel it, you come into resonance with it, you amplify it through its body so it can be felt and resonated in a clear signal or tone or note with someone outside of you. No words required, it's easily read and understood. Feeling is the universal language. That's why we feel so much in our dreams, or for those of you that are channelers. Question number 3. What information is he missing? Assume he actually really doesn't know. If you're going to assume at all, assume he really has no idea. Because I can tell you from working with couples, 9.5 times out of 10, really no idea. Fully wanting to meet you, but fully doesn't know how. And if they've tried little bits, remember I can't remember which training it was we did. Or maybe that's coming up. Was it the provision one, or is it coming up in Ice Queen? I feel like I've spoken about it. When you stop him providing. So if he's like, you haven't told him what you want, and then he's like, how about this? And you're like, ugh. And then he's like, how about this? You want it like this? Like this? Like this? And you're always like, ugh. Just fuck off. I can't even be bothered. He's going to stop trying. There's only so much each of us will continue to try at something we continuously fail at. No one loves failure long term. If you haven't made the failure deeply meaningful to you and therefore inspirational to continue to move through it, then you're probably going to acquiesce, become apathetic, resign, withdraw, stop caring, stop showing up. It's too painful, too hard. Women are too hard, right? Too hard. I don't know what she wants. Too hard to please. Nope. Women are not hard to please, and I don't find them particularly hard to read. But masculine creatures do. And they really don't know what you want when you have not told them, when you have not trained them. They really don't. So assume he knows nothing. How do you teach him as if he was your child and you were teaching him how to walk? How do you teach him how to be with you here? And how do you find delight in that? Because that's the next step to that. How do you delight and revel in this? I'm sure you've heard me talk about this before. It's no different to teaching our children to read. Right? Bet you're a proficient reader. And then you have to go back and learn A, B, C and B, K. Right? Do you get really annoyed about that? Or are you like, they just knew what A was? And when your child starts to recognize words, and the cat, are you like, you just said cat. I can't believe you just read that. You are reading. That is amazing. Do you do that for your partner? Or are you like, oh God, I can't believe I have to spell ABC to you. Oh, you should come already knowing that. Oh, how many times have I told you? Cat is cat. Slam the book closed. I am not teaching you to read anymore. You shall therefore be illiterate. Whose fault is that? Is it the child who's never done anything like this before and is retraining their brain and igniting new neural pathways and bringing aspects of their brain online? Is it their fault they don't know how to read? Or are we so delighted in the fact that they're learning and we just find delight in the simplicity of that? Can you offer that to your partner? Or is it conditional? I will only be like this with you when you are like that with me. Do you remember yesterday's? So yeah, they don't know. So how do you train them and teach them in a way that feels delicious for you and them? No different to teaching your child to read. No different. Where have we learnt love? Where have we learnt relationship? Where have we learnt how to be with the self and the stretching of self and emotional intelligence? Where have we gone to school for that? And yet we expect someone to be literate in all the ways that we are and more. Often we expect our partners to be more literate than we are. see the problem? Teaching is so delightful. Yeah, it's painful. Or it can also be really delicious. You know, I really love it when you, just like that. Just like that. This is what we do in Queen School. And then the final question to journal on and ask yourself: what if he really doesn't know? What if I could look at this setup, situation, way of handling me or not handling me, and believe that he really doesn't know? How would that change the way that I approach that, feel about that, meet that, and with that? How would it change it? Just by changing the belief, he really doesn't know. Well, that could be fun. What if this person you've been with for 20 years becomes a new lover because he doesn't know, and you're training a new lover how to be with your body? I have a few friends who are divorced and out on the dating field and, doing various Tinder dates and all sorts of things. And I love listening to their stories. I love listening to their stories of lovemaking and all of the messy stuff that we forget when we're in a long-term relationship, and it's not easier. You still have to train someone into how to love your body. And your mind. So, remember from yesterday, the more you don't trust him to handle you, the more you stay zipped up and held back, the less energy there is, the more cloudy, foggy information there is, the less he knows, the more clueless he is. And the more annoyed you get at him, and the more annoyed, closed up, zipped up, and withdrawn from him you get, the cycle just keeps going. Less present, more and more shallow presence, shallow, stopped caring, apathetic, withdrawn from you, pissed off at you, closed up, don't trust you to handle my truth, and round we go. What if you didn't have to do that? What if there was another way? There is. I know I have a few Queen School graduates who are coming in as mentors in this round online with me. Perhaps you could share, I know there's another way. I swear there is. I swear there is. So men are clueless or clued in, and you get to decide which they are with you, how they handle you. And you get to decide the game you play in your own mind about whether this is frustrating or super fun. Yes, self-responsibility. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes we're going to get angry at it. Sometimes you're going to get angry at me for saying it. I know. I've done it too. I even can sit there and go, oh my God, I know all of this stuff and fuck, I don't want to and I hate it. And then I'm like, all right, pity party, victim thing. All right, I've had it. Big girl pants on, off we go. And I can tell you it becomes exponentially better. And all it takes is a pattern interrupt. Thanks, and there's definitely another way. Don't know it till you see it though, do you? We're not trained in love. So unless you've spent a lifetime exploring what love is and how you break down all of the barriers to it, just like Rumi, How are you to know? So Queen School is the artful, loving course. I am devoted to teaching men and women to love better, to love wider, to love deeper, to love in a way that is bigger and, I think, better than pop culture. So if you're ready for that, then come and join Queen School. We start on the 14th of January, and it is 12 weeks that will blow your mind and your relationship wide open in all the good ways, however you decide that open to be. All right. I am once again going to join my children in the very cold pool. And I will see you tomorrow at 4:44. Please bring a glass of wine because I'm pretty sure I'll have one. Thank you for being here. I would love to hear from you if you've had drop-ins, epiphanies, or insights. I hope that these love bites are full of love and maybe just a little bit of bite. Kind of need both, because love isn't just all gooey and mushy. It's often a little bit of and then it's a bit of both. Oh, Brooke, I'm so... Put your head under Jules. Oh, come on, Nickets. Maybe it's pole dancing in the cold for me this year. I'm less inclined on the cold pool. So I'll see you tomorrow. 4:44, love bite number 5, and we have 8. So it's super exciting. Send me a DM or a PM if you want to ask me anything about Queen School. I would love to be there. We do have payment plans as well as an upfront, and it's 12 weeks of amazingness. So come change the way you love and show up in the world. Changes everything. Changes your relationship. I parent with polarity with my teens. I think that's why it's so fun. Polarity being energy exchange, particularly with my son. I don't really have to do very much. Just a whole lot of being, and it's amazing. So it feeds every area of your life. The way you negotiate. Oh, sometimes men are putty in your hands when you know exactly how to be in your feminine. So let it feed every area of your life. It can. So, yeah, I'll see you soon. Big love to you. Have a beautiful night. I'll see you.